It's a matter of destiny that I am coming after the scintillating session that you had with Mr. Sam Pitroda. But I should, first of all, of course, I should congratulate Jessia, the IACC. I should also congratulate Sunil Kakkar because I'm having the first event with him after getting elected as the president of Jessia. I'd like to congratulate him for getting there. I'd also like to congratulate him for bringing this session to us. It is entirely, I know, the effort and the efforts that Sunil has made, because of which we've all had the benefit of having Mr. Sam Pitroda interact in such a close, intimate way with all of us. And it doesn't happen too often. Even when the video conferencing is a very simple solution, and it was all done through Skype, but to get a person like him devote this kind of time and answer questions particularly, which were pretty penetrating, I think has been a unique opportunity, and for which also I'd like to congratulate Sunil and everybody else who's made it possible. And I think in his very scintillating and elaborate statement before us, he brought in focus major issues going beyond NKN for what NKN can do, which is what is more important than what NKN is. He also mentioned that NKN is one of the most ambitious things that you can have. Mr. Akshay Agrawal mentioned that some of the things which even an American university may not be able to wish for, aspire for, is going to be available here. And there is a project of connecting colleges after the connection of universities. Akshayji talked about connection of university office and not beyond that, but the fact is that the activity for connecting the colleges is already on, and it would also be done. And thanks to the Purusharth of BSNL, Bhandari ji, BSNL, as their logo says, Connecting India, is very appropriate. And I must tell you that they are writing history. They are writing history. 15 years back, 12 years back, I was in IIM Bangalore in some workshop, weeks workshop on ICT in administration. I remember one of my batchmates from Tamil Nadu, 15 years back, he said, we were wondering what would be the challenges, and he said connectivity would be the challenge. He said not the application, India has sufficient capacity to develop applications, but problem would be connectivity. And we do Hisab Kitab of the total spectrum available to the country. Whatever spectrum is available to the country. So when it comes to spectrum, it has got already divided in so many ways with service providers, with defense, with space department and all. So this dark, the fiber is what is the strength that the country is having. So that way, I think it is historical times. NKN is a part of history that is getting written in this country. But as has been mentioned very elaborately by Samji, Mr. Pitroda, laying as NKN would not, it is just a means to an end. An end is what is complicated. And what is the challenge? I dug out some of the things which the world is going through. He also mentioned about a child today of 10 years age having capacity to multitask and gather data and information at a speed that we at our age, I'm talking about my age, I'm not talking about the age of those youngsters sitting there, are simply physically incapable of doing. It is not possible, and he also admitted that he, having been a student of computer sciences all his life, and we all know that our children, the speed at which their brain works is something, so are we in a position to comprehend the demand, the needs, aspirations of this generation? What's happening in the world, let me tell you. The amount of new technical information is doubling every 2 years. Every 2 years. The amount of technical information in the world is doubling every 2 years. For students starting a 4-year technical degree, what does this mean? This means that half of what they learn in their first year of study will be outdated by the time they reach the 3rd year of their study. This means that. Now, it is estimated that a week's worth of New York Times contains more information than a person was likely to come across in a lifetime in 18th century. The way the information is expanding. The number of internet devices in 1984 was 1,000. In 1992, 1,000, what is that number? 1,000 is 1 million. And 2008, 1,000. So this is the way the internet devices are expanding. There are about 540,000 words in English language today. About 5 times as many as during Shakespeare's times. The language, the total number of words are expanding like that. How do you gather it? It is estimated that 4 exabytes, that is 4.010 to the power 19, of unique information will be generated this year. This is more than previous 5,000 years. This is the expansion of information. Something more. N&T Japan has successfully tested a fiber optic cable that pushes 14 trillion bits per second down a single strand of fiber. This is 2,660 CDs or 210 million phone calls every second. It is currently tripling every 6 months, and is expected to do so for the next 20 years. Imagine the speed at which things are expanding in this world. By 2013, a supercomputer will be built that exceeds the computational capabilities of human brain. Predictions are that by 2049, $1,000 computer will exceed the computation capabilities of entire human species. By 2049, $1,000 computer will exceed the computational capacities of entire human species. Let me tell you some more things, the way information world is expanding, and then you tell me how do you, by what means does one individual visualize it, leave alone grasp it. Visualizing, it's like visualizing the universe. What is happening? China will soon become the number 1 English-speaking country in the world by sheer numbers. By sheer numbers, the number of people speaking English in China would render it number 1 English-speaking country in the world. Now, India, the 25% of India's population with the highest IQs. Just the 25% of India's population with highest IQ is greater than the total population of the United States. So what does it mean? India has more honors kids than America has kids. The top 10 in demand jobs in 2010 did not exist in 2004. The top 10 in demand jobs that exist in 2010 did not even exist in 2004. What does it mean? We are currently preparing students for jobs that don't yet exist, using technologies that haven't been invented. In order to solve problems, we don't even know our problems yet. This is what is the challenge of knowledge and information. Give you something more. The US Department of Labor estimates that today's learner will have 10 to 14 jobs by the age of 38. The rate at which 1 out of 8 couples married in the US last year met online. National Knowledge Network. There are over 200 million registered users on MySpace. 200 million. If MySpace were a country, it would be the 5th largest in the world. MySpace alone. Now, United States is number 19 in ranking in internet penetration. Imagine number 1 country in respect of internet penetration. It is Bermuda. Japan is number 22. How do you catch up? We are living in exponential times. There are 31 billion searches on Google every month. 31 billion searches on Google every month. In 2006, this number was 2.7 billion. Google searches in 2006 were 2.7 billion per month. They are 31 billion per month on Google engine. In 1992 was the year when the first commercial text message, SMS, the first SMS was sent in 1992. Today the number of text messages sent and received every day exceeds the total population of the earth. This is something very well known, that it took radio 38 years. It took radio 38 years to reach a population of 50 million. It took TV 13 years to reach the population of 50 million. It took internet 4 years to reach the population of 50 million. It took iPod 3 years to reach the population of 50 millions. And it took Facebook 2 years to reach the population of 50 millions. So, my handful of enlightened audience, this is the challenge. National Knowledge Network, what does it provide? It basically, it's a question of pedagogy by itself. The art of delivering content for education. Can we teach the way we have been teaching until now? Imagine the child today. Can you teach him the way the teachers are teaching? Something which Mr. Sam Pitroda mentioned. Should we be teaching? Would it be children grabbing more from the cloud than from any possible method of teaching? That is the question. And I don't think we are capable of visualizing it. That it would not be possible to teach a child, and teach in inverted commas. The very word teaching is coming into question. Agrawalji, I think this is the challenge of education. Whether education can remain to be I give, you take kind of syndrome. It's not possible. I say it's not possible for immediate future. In immediate future, look at your child who's 6 years old, given the facility of internet and good bandwidth. We used to say bandwidth is GDP. I used to say bandwidth is GDP. Gujarat government is ahead of, Neetaben knows I have been saying that in all the national fora, that bandwidth is GDP. You expand bandwidth to the people of this state and the economic development, distribution of income, it would automatically happen. Like we used to earlier say, power is GDP. And we had Jyotigram, and we provided power 24/7 to Gujarat's villages. And you see today, whole lot of things are happening in the villages of Gujarat which don't happen typically in villages. Today bandwidth is GDP, but bandwidth is is growth, bandwidth is development, bandwidth is intellectual development. Bandwidth today would be like oxygen in the coming times. That's one. Number two, pedagogy would come into question seriously. Whether it's possible to give knowledge, for you to give knowledge and for a child to take knowledge. That perhaps would be a serious question. So the question would be, how does knowledge get delivered? Who delivers knowledge? And how much knowledge is required? How can you grab this kind of knowledge which I just tried to paint before you? So these are some of the questions. National Knowledge Network is a yeoman's task that the government has thought of. I think it would put India way ahead of the Committee of Nations if we, of course, like Agrawal ji said, like Mr. Pitroda said, if we use it properly, but I personally feel to provide it, the usage, like he said, supply and demand, would also arise by itself. So you can't remain without providing this oxygen to the demanding brains of the growing generations of this country. If you don't do it, you would be keeping them without the oxygen which is required. And with that, I congratulate everybody here who is in some way or other involved with the NKN. It is not a day too soon that this infrastructure is coming up. I only wanted to emphasize on the seriousness with which it ought to be taken and on the need that is there for this aspiring country of a billion people. So with that, I would like to finish here. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.